Hey everyone, it's Julie Lawrence from TeacherJulieOnline.com. On my channel, you will find helpful videos, hopefully, about working from home teaching online for different companies such as VIPKid, Outschool, and anything else out there that I might discover. Welcome to my channel. On this video, I am going to be talking about using Zoom when you teach on your Outschool classes. I've had several people reach out to me and say that they are interested in teaching for Outschool, but they're a little concerned about the technology aspect. And I know there's many fancy things that you can do when you're teaching for Outschool, such as screen share and using Google Slides and things like that, and I will have a different video about that. But for this video, I wanted to focus on those people who simply want to click the Start Live Class button from the Outschool platform, head into Zoom, and just teach. Teach using their webcam and any props or supplies that they might have and themselves. So this video is going to be just a simple overview of what you can do, what you need to do, what's important to click and things like that within Zoom, and hopefully will be a simplified way to teach on Outschool using Zoom. Now, with all that said, there are several training videos that Outschool does provide, and I am in no way trying to override that. So I highly suggest that you watch the trainings on the Outschool platform to get all the questions answered that you need. But I'm just offering another training, I guess you could say. Welcome to my computer. Now, I would recommend downloading the Zoom application before you begin teaching on Outschool. I would recommend downloading it and getting the settings exactly how you want it, and I would also recommend playing around in it and even starting your own meeting and maybe practicing with a friend or a family member or your kids or something, just so you can play around with the different features, mess around with the settings, things like that. That was really helpful to me before I started because I had been a Zoom user before and I had hosted a few simple meetings, but I hadn't ever taught a class on Zoom, so it was really helpful to me to practice first. So that's my recommendation to you. Now, I have open the main page for Zoom, so I'm just going to go through and show you what I have for my settings, and you can choose to copy those or not, but I'm just going to show you what I find helpful in the settings area. So you're going to click on this cog up here in the upper right hand corner to open your settings. Under general settings, I didn't change anything on here. I guess this is just maybe the default things, I'm not exactly sure, but I didn't change anything on general. On video, number one, first and foremost, you want to touch up your appearance, right? I mean, everybody should do that unless you're just very lucky. And then the other one I checked is right here. Always display participant names on their videos. That is super important when you have a class full of children that you're not going to remember who they are. So you want their name displayed at the bottom of their video. The other one that I checked is to spotlight my video when speaking. That just makes, it puts like a green box around the person who is speaking, but you as the teacher want to be spotlighted because when the recording is presented to the parents at the end of class, they are going to want to see you and not someone else talking. So spotlighting the video is an important one to check. Audio is just going to be choosing your headset or your speaker or your microphone, whatever you choose to use. And here is something interesting that I found down here that I didn't know about until I was messing around in here. Now, this is something that I don't necessarily use because I don't ever stop talking in life or on Zoom. But you can press and hold the space bar key to temporarily unmute yourself. So if learners can do this, I think this is a really cool thing. So they can keep themselves muted and then just talk by pressing the space bar. They can talk and then let go. And I think that's kind of cool. I don't know if that works for them or not. I didn't change anything on the share screen. The virtual background is personal preference. I choose not to use a virtual background, but you can if you want to. I just find them pretty distracting. I skipped chat, but I'm going to talk about chat when I'm in the actual Zoom screen. You don't need to worry anything about recording because Outschool will automatically record your lesson. And the only other thing on here that I checked was under keyboard shortcuts. And I have checked these two options right here. So the keyboard shortcut on my computer, I have a Mac, is Command Control M, and that will mute everyone at once, except for me, the host. And that's really helpful so that you don't have to go in and manually click everyone's mute. Now, there's a button in Zoom where you can mute everyone, but I also like having control of the keystroke. Command Control U will unmute everyone except the host. So I thought that was a pretty cool little trick. Now, that is pretty much it for how I set up my settings. So from this point, we are going to go into my Outschool screen. So this is my platform on Outschool. And you will find, if you click on Teach up here or Teaching over here, somehow you're going to get to your schedule. I'm trying to avoid going there because I don't want any learners' names to appear. But once you get to your schedule, you can click on the class that you have coming up, and then you can click on Classroom right here, and it will bring up this green Start Live Meeting. You are going to click that when you are ready to begin your class, and it is going to prompt you to open Zoom. So let's pretend that I have clicked that to begin our meeting, to begin our class, and now let's head into Zoom, into the classroom. Okay, so it has opened up Zoom for our class, and you will see that my picture pops up. That's because one of my settings is that I don't start my video right away when I pop into the classroom. I've just found that sometimes I'm finishing my lunch, or I'm drinking, or I'm doing something, not drinking, drinking water. I'm doing something that maybe I don't want people to see right away, because once you pop into the classroom like this, it starts recording. So just something to be aware of. So I don't ever start with my video on. It's just something just that I prefer. So anyway, now my video is on. So this is what it will look like when you come into the classroom, just like this. The first thing I do is I go down here to participants and I click on it. Right now it says 1 because that's me. And you will see it opened over here on the right side, me, and says that I am the host. I also go over here to more, and I generally rename myself so it doesn't say Julie Lawrence, and I might change it to say Miss Julie or Teacher Julie or something like that. So that's what the kids see. I also come over to this bottom right corner where it says more, and you are going to want to click on play, enter, exit chime. Now, as an Outschool teacher, this will already be done for you. This is a fairly new thing that they've added, so you don't have to do that anymore. It's already checked, but it's a good idea to double check. And then I also uncheck allow participants to rename themselves. I just don't mess with that. I found that kids, especially older kids, can be very creative with renaming themselves, and so I just turn that off. I can still rename them if I need to, and I'll show you how to do that. That is it for that part. I also open the chat. I go ahead and open the chat because sometimes students will chat with me. And on the chat, I click on this 3 dots right here, and I make sure that the participant can chat with the host only. I believe that is the default setting. Unless you want your students to chat with each other, then you can choose one of these other choices, or if you don't want them to chat at all, you can turn on no one. I just leave it on host only. It's hard for me to check the chat while I'm teaching, so I'm not that great about reading my chats or responding to my chats, but every once in a while I'll see one come through. Unless I'm asking for them to chat with me, then I'm, of course, paying attention to it more. That is all that I get going and then I just start waiting for my students to arrive. And since the waiting room is enabled automatically with Outschool, you will see kids pop into the waiting room and you will hear the doorbell chime go off when they arrive in the waiting room. So I'm going to try to demonstrate that for you now. Okay, so I am going to join the meeting with my phone. So I have joined the meeting or the class, and I am in the waiting room, as you can see up here. And so you will see your kids one by one come into the waiting room, and you will hear the door chime when they arrive in the waiting room. The students see some kind of message like this that the host will let you in when the class starts or something like that. And so they are waiting. They see that they are in the waiting room in the class but not admitted yet. So typically, I don't let them sit in the waiting room too long unless they arrive super early. I generally let my kids in about 2 minutes, maybe 1 minute before class starts. I like to allow them a little bit of breathing room to get their technology situated, and we chat, and most of the time there's some late students, so we just sort of chat and do some get to know yous and things like that while we're waiting for those to arrive. So I'm going to go ahead and admit myself in, and you will hear the doorbell chime again when they've entered the classroom. Okay, so here I am with my phone, and now we are in the classroom. I automatically put it on gallery view. That's what I like to do. That's just how I like to view everything. My computer allows 9 at a time, 9 squares before you have to move to the next screen. So I like to keep my classes around 8 because I really like that ability to see all my students at once. So I put everybody in gallery view, and then we are ready to go. You are ready to teach the lesson. There is nothing else that you need to do. You might hear things about sharing your screen. You might hear things about using Google Slides or Canva or some other way to present, showing videos, doing this and that. You don't have to do any of that. You can simply teach just like this without using anything else. You can grab a whiteboard or props or a book to read or whatever it is that is going to work for the lesson that you are teaching. This is all you have to do. Now, let's talk about muting and unmuting and things like that. If you come over here, you'll see these buttons under here. You can click on Mute All, and that will mute everyone's audio at once. You can also click on Unmute All. Remember, there's some keystrokes as well that you can use. The Unmute All will unmute everyone all at once. Now, Zoom has added some security features where not everyone's sound will unmute. So the student will be responsible for unmuting themselves. That's another thing I like to do at the beginning is I just go and make sure that everyone knows how to mute and unmute themselves. And so far so good. Most students can do that on their own. So that's nice. So just know that even if you click unmute all, it doesn't necessarily mean that everyone is going to be unmuted. You may still have to ask students to do that. You can also individually mute someone by going to their name up here. I don't have my sound on right now on my phone because it would cause a whole bunch of distractions. But if my sound was on, you would be able to click on here to mute. You can also go to their screen and click on these 3 things, and you should be able to mute over here too. There is another way that you can, over here, you can rename them. Alright, so if you wanted to rename Julie's phone to something else, you can do that. Sometimes the students come in and they have their parents' name or something like that, and I want to be able to call them by their name, so I will go in and rename them. If for some reason there's something inappropriate or something happening that not everyone should be seeing, maybe the student doesn't even know what's happening, you can go up and stop their video. And that will change it to whatever their screensaver is, or just turn it off and put their name on it, something like that. That's never happened to me, but that is an option. Sometimes a student will enter and not have their video on, and Outschool does ask that we verify that it is a student sitting in that spot, and so we do ask them to turn on their video for at least a minute, few seconds, whatever, just to verify that there is a student there. So if you need to get them to turn their video on, you can of course ask them with your voice, or you can also come over here or on their picture over here and say ask to start video. And then they will get a pop-up on their screen that says the host has asked you to start your video. If they click OK, their video will then start. If for some reason there is inappropriate behavior, a student is being super distracting, maybe you have warned them several times and the flow of the class is just not going well because of this particular student, you can put them in the waiting room. Again, you can use their name or their picture and click on it and click on put in waiting room, and it's automatically going to put that student back in the waiting room until you readmit them into the class. Another thing you can do, this is probably a last resort, is you can remove them. So you can go ahead and completely remove them from your class. It will prompt you. Once this student is removed, they will not be able to come back into the class. So I would only use this for very, very extreme circumstances, and then be prepared to talk to Outschool about it. The only other thing I wanted to show you is up here in the upper left-hand corner is the meeting information for each class. It will include the meeting ID, it will include the password and the link. You may have a parent ask you to send that to them. Outschool has said that we are not to do that. We are not to share any of this information. It's up here for your information, but it is not to be shared because the parents are to enter and the students are to enter the class through the green Join Class Live button on the Outschool platform. They are not to enter with a code or a password. Occasionally they will tell you that it's prompting them for a password and they might ask you for that. I've heard that that happens when they are trying to enter from the email that Outschool sends. So they could be a brand new student or they could just be confused or something. I would just maybe direct them to Outschool support if there's a huge issue. But the bottom line is, don't get yourself in trouble by passing out these links and passwords. That's all I'm going to say about that. But the information is up there for you to know. So I think I have said everything for just a simple teaching with Zoom. Like I said, the best thing for you to do is to practice ahead of time. Get comfortable with all the commands and the shortcuts and the clicking here and the turning this off and turning this on. Practice with people who can help you. Practice letting people in, kicking people out, whatever you want to do. That sounds fun. But this is really all you need to teach an Outschool class besides the things that you bring on this side of the camera. I might also suggest that for your first few classes, you start with just a few kids so that you can get used to juggling different kids and their needs and the messing with the different things if you're going to work with chat or whatever, and then gradually build your student count. That's just a suggestion. Anyway, I hope this covers some questions that you may have had. If I forgot anything, if you're an Outschool teacher or a Zoom person and I have forgotten something, would you please leave it in the comments so that everyone can see? Because I'm sure there's something that maybe I don't even know about or I forgot to say, so we can all kind of help each other out. Thanks for coming into my computer. Thank you so much for watching. I hope it was helpful. Like I said at the beginning of the video, please go into the Outschool training materials and see what they have. I am just supplementary, and they are the true experts for all the training that you need. So don't forget to check that out. If you are interested in learning more about Outschool, if you just want to chat, if you just want to run your ideas by me, or if you want to apply, please reach out to me. It's teacherjulieonline@gmail.com. I love helping other teachers. I love collaborating, and I just like hearing what's going on with you, how your journey is going. You can also find me on Instagram, or you can find me on my website. It's teacherjulieonline.com. Thanks again for watching. Happy teaching. See you next time.